Have you ever held two tubs of pre-workout, each claiming to be clinically dosed, and wondered which one you could trust? This presentation will equip you with the tools to answer that question. Labels can be deceiving. Marketing slogans often promise results, but only the supplement facts panel reveals what you're actually getting. We'll look at how companies manipulate serving sizes, hide tiny doses in proprietary blends, and sprinkle just enough of trendy ingredients to decorate labels without delivering effective amounts. By the end, you'll know how to read labels critically, compare ingredient amounts to research, and avoid paying for pixie dust. First, let's understand why labels are the legal backbone of supplement truth, and why you shouldn't rely on marketing copy. The label isn't just packaging, it's a legal document governed by the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. Manufacturers must include serving size, ingredient amounts, and other critical information on the supplement facts panel. But there's much more freedom when it comes to marketing language on the front of the container. Bold claims about boosting pumps or exploding your focus can be legally exaggerated, whereas the numbers in the facts panel are where you find reality. Understanding this distinction helps you separate hype from substance. So when evaluating a product, start by flipping to the panel and reading the numbers. To make sense of those numbers, you need to know the anatomy of a supplement label, which we'll break down next. Every supplement label contains specific sections that reveal the product's contents. First is the serving size and servings per container, indicating how many scoops equal one dose and how long the tub will last. Next are the ingredient amounts, showing exactly how many grams or milligrams of each nutrient you're getting. The percent daily value tells you how a nutrient contributes to your overall dietary needs. Finally, there's a list of other ingredients such as carriers, flavorings, colors, and stabilizers. Being able to interpret these sections empowers you to assess whether a product aligns with your goals. With this framework in mind, we'll discuss our first practical step, examining the serving size. Serving size is often the first place companies hide weak dosing. A scoop might be labeled as one serving, but the effective dose could require 2 scoops or even more. When the full clinical dose is spread across multiple scoops, the cost per effective serving increases. Manufacturers legally define serving size however they like, so it's up to you to check how many scoops deliver the promised dose. Once you know that, you can calculate the true cost of a clinically dosed serving. Always base your comparison on cost per effective dose, not just price per scoop. After you've examined the serving size, the next step is to scrutinize the ingredient amounts themselves. Numbers don't lie, but adjectives can mislead. A blend labeled pump matrix or explosive energy blend might sound impressive, yet without individual ingredient amounts, it's impossible to know if you're getting an effective dose. The total weight of a proprietary blend tells you nothing about each component. Rather than trusting phrases like focus formula, flip the label to check how many grams or milligrams of each ingredient are included. Only by comparing these numbers to research can you determine whether the product is clinically dosed. To see how this plays out in practice, let's examine recommended versus typical doses for common ingredients like L-Citrulline. L-Citrulline is a popular pump ingredient, but its effectiveness depends on quantity. Research suggests you need 3 to 4 grams of pure L-Citrulline or 8 grams of citrulline malate to boost nitric oxide levels and performance. Yet many products provide only 2 to 3 grams per scoop. To experience the benefits, you may need multiple scoops or a separate supplement. For best results, take it about an hour before your workout to allow time for absorption and conversion to arginine in your bloodstream. When evaluating labels, compare the actual grams of citrulline to these research-supported ranges. Next, let's look at another staple ingredient, creatine monohydrate. Creatine monohydrate is one of the most studied supplements, and the dosing protocol is well established. A loading phase of 20 to 25 grams per day, approximately 0.3 grams per kilogram of body weight, for 5 to 7 days saturates your muscles. Afterwards, you maintain saturation with 3 to 5 grams per day. Many pre-workouts include only 1 to 2 grams per scoop, far below what's needed to maintain levels. If you rely on these underdosed servings, you may never achieve full saturation. Always verify the quantity on the label and consider supplementing separately to hit the recommended range. Moving on, let's discuss beta-alanine and why dosing frequency matters as much as total grams. Beta-alanine enhances performance by increasing muscle carnosine, which buffers acid during high-intensity exercise. To build up carnosine stores, studies recommend 3.2 to 6.4 grams per day, divided into 4 to 8 doses of about 0.8 grams each. This divided dosing helps minimize the tingling sensation associated with beta-alanine. Unfortunately, many pre-workouts include only around 1.6 grams per scoop. That's not enough to achieve the daily intake needed to see benefits. As with creatine, you might need to supplement beta-alanine separately, or choose a product that discloses and meets the research-supported range. Now let's cover caffeine, another common stimulant that requires careful dosing. Caffeine is perhaps the most widely used ergogenic aid. Research indicates that performance benefits occur at 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. A minimal effective dose begins around 2 milligrams per kilogram, while going beyond 9 milligrams per kilogram doesn't confer additional benefits and increases the risk of side effects like jitteriness and disrupted sleep. When reading labels, calculate how much caffeine per serving corresponds to your weight and stay within the evidence-based range. Remember to factor in other sources of caffeine like coffee or energy drinks. After caffeine, let's examine L-Tyrosine, a cognitive support ingredient with more nuanced research. L-Tyrosine is a precursor to neurotransmitters like dopamine and norepinephrine and may help maintain cognitive performance under stress. Research doses are roughly 150 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, meaning a 70 kilogram individual would need about 10.5 grams. Studies on physical performance show mixed results. Some demonstrate improved time to exhaustion, while others find no effect. Most pre-workout formulas provide less than 1 gram, far below the range used in research. When you see L-Tyrosine on a label, check whether the amount approaches the dosages used in studies. This pattern leads us to the broader question, what does clinically dosed really mean? The term clinically dosed has real meaning only when a product's ingredient amounts align with ranges supported by peer-reviewed research. A truly clinically dosed supplement discloses the exact dose of each ingredient on its label. When you see this claim without accompanying numbers or within a proprietary blend, it's just marketing. To verify a clinically dosed product, compare each listed amount to research and confirm there's no hidden blend concealing the actual dose. If the math doesn't match, the claim is empty. Next, we'll examine proprietary blends and why they pose a challenge to verifying doses. Proprietary blends allow companies to list multiple ingredients under a single combined weight. While the ingredients must be listed in descending order by weight, individual amounts aren't disclosed. Under the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, this practice is legal, but it prevents consumers from verifying whether doses are clinically effective. Proprietary blends also create space for pixie dusting, adding tiny amounts of trendy ingredients just to list them on the label. Without individual amounts, you can't determine whether a supplement justifies its claims. To illustrate how to analyze these blends, let's explore a method for estimating ingredient quantities within them. When confronted with a proprietary blend, you can approximate upper and lower limits for each ingredient. Since ingredients are listed in descending order, the first ingredient must be present at least slightly more than the second, and so on. For example, in a 5-gram blend with 4 ingredients, it's impossible for each to be 3 grams. The total would exceed the blend weight. By understanding basic arithmetic in the sequence, you can spot marketing exaggerations. However, without exact numbers, you'll never know if any ingredient reaches the clinical range. Next, we'll discuss filler ingredients and label padding, another tactic that muddles the real value of a formula. Supplement labels often list additional ingredients such as maltodextrin, artificial colors, silicon dioxide, and magnesium stearate. Many of these serve legitimate purposes. Maltodextrin can improve solubility and stability, and magnesium stearate acts as a flow agent during manufacturing. However, when these fillers make up a significant portion of a formula, they can dilute active ingredients and serve as cheap padding. Being aware of what these excipients do helps you judge whether they're being used responsibly or to bulk up the product. Armed with this knowledge, you can avoid paying for fluff. Now let's address the phenomenon known as fairy dusting. Fairy dusting refers to including tiny, sub-effective amounts of trendy ingredients purely to decorate a label. For example, an ingredient might require 3 grams to exert its intended effect, yet it's included at 100 milligrams. From a marketing perspective, listing the ingredient looks impressive, but the amount is unlikely to do anything meaningful. When you encounter formulas with long lists of ingredients at low doses, recognize that you're paying for decoration, not results. Focus your purchasing decisions on products that prioritize a smaller number of ingredients dosed within research-backed ranges. To identify such formulas, keep an eye out for common red flags, which we'll summarize next. As a discerning consumer, watch out for proprietary blends that hide ingredient amounts, overcrowded formulas packed with dozens of underdosed compounds, exotic ingredients included at trace amounts, unrealistic promises of rapid transformation, and products lacking references to clinical research. These red flags indicate that a company may be prioritizing marketing over science. When you see multiple red flags on one label, it's a strong signal to look elsewhere. Understanding these warning signs will help you compare the front panel claims to the realities hidden in the facts panel. which we'll examine in more detail next. It's common to see a flashy name like Maximum Pump Formula splashed across the front of a container. But if the supplement facts panel reveals only 2 grams of citrulline and 1 gram of creatine, the formula is anything but maximum. Marketing adjectives can create an illusion of potency that the numbers simply don't support. Make it a habit to compare the claims on the front of the label with the actual ingredient amounts listed on the back. The disparity between the two will tell you whether the product is worth your investment. Another important factor to consider when choosing a supplement is the cost per effective dose, which we'll discuss next. Price per scoop is one of the most deceptive metrics in supplement marketing. A cheap scoop means little if it contains fractions of the doses needed to see results. Instead, calculate the cost per effective dose by dividing the total price by the number of servings that deliver research-supported amounts of each active ingredient. Underdosed products may appear less expensive at first but cost more in the long term because you'll need multiple scoops or extra supplements to hit effective ranges. Always consider the true value of what you're paying for. With costs in mind, let's talk about how transparency can actually be a competitive advantage for supplement companies. Consumers are increasingly savvy, and brands that embrace transparency stand out. A fully disclosed label lists every ingredient and its exact amount, leaving no room for guesswork. Clinically dosed formulas align with research findings rather than marketing trends. By avoiding proprietary blends and providing batch certificates of analysis, companies signal that they have nothing to hide. This level of openness builds trust and differentiates them from competitors who rely on ambiguity. Supporting transparent brands not only benefits your own results but also encourages higher standards across the industry. To appreciate the regulatory landscape that governs labels, let's review what the FDA requires. The FDA mandates that supplement labels include the product name, the term dietary supplement, and the name and address of the manufacturer, packer, or distributor. The supplement facts panel must list serving size, servings per container, and the amount of each ingredient. Although manufacturers are responsible for ensuring safety and accurate labeling, there is no pre-market approval process. The FDA typically intervenes only after products have been reported as unsafe or mislabeled. These rules provide a framework, but it's still up to consumers to verify that the numbers align with clinical evidence. To do that, you can look up ingredients yourself, which we'll explore next. If you want to confirm whether a supplement is accurately dosed, consult reliable sources. The NIH Office of Dietary Supplements provides fact sheets on ingredients, including recommended dosages. Peer-reviewed journals and meta-analyses offer consolidated findings on effectiveness and safety. Look up dosing ranges and compare them to the amounts listed on the product label. If a formula falls short, you'll know to pass. This do-it-yourself research equips you to see beyond marketing and make evidence-based choices. Finally, let's wrap up with a reminder of why trusting the numbers, not the slogans, is your best path forward. You don't need to be an expert to protect yourself from misleading supplement marketing. You just need to trust the numbers. By reading the supplement facts panel and comparing ingredient amounts to research-supported ranges, you can separate clinically dosed products from those that rely on slogans and fairy dust. Remember to check serving sizes, calculate cost per effective dose, and be wary of proprietary blends and exaggerated claims. Your wallet and your health will thank you. Armed with this knowledge, you're now an empowered consumer, ready to make informed, science-backed supplement choices.